Joe Burrow goes nuclear against the Raiders. We'll talk about this coming up next on the Wincinnati podcast.
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.
Welcome to the Wincinnati podcast. I am Ace. He is Zim. Coming at you guys here Monday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Tap in with us. The Bengals are coming off of a major win against the Raiders. First win at home, 41-24. On a short week, we kind of was talking before the show kind of came on about a multitude of things. But one thing that you made evident is, hey, bro, we got a Ravens game on Thursday. So just like Joe Burrow and Mike Hilton and these guys, our eyes are kind of focused on Thursday. But before we get to that, we have to talk about several different things, most notably some things that are flying around. But most importantly, we got to talk about the Bengals-Raiders recap, right? We're going to get into the special teams on that one. We'll go through defense. We'll go through offense. You guys know how we do it. We also do coaching as well. So you guys already know what time it is, but there's also some other stuff going on as well with Jermaine Burton that took place currently before the game, all of that. So we'll make sure that we get into all of that. But thank you guys so much for locking in, and we'll get into that coming up next.
Hey, what's up, Bengals fans? It's Mike Hilton. I'm on the Wincinnati pod with Ace and Zim.
All right, man. Speaking of Mike Hilton kind of had some reactions to what took place. But the first thing that we got to talk about, man, was Jermaine Burton being inactive before the game. A lot of people stuck their necks out on the line for him. I feel like me included in that. And we heard before. I think both of us knew that something was going to happen when we started to hear some things and some rumblings. Believe it might have been around Friday. I know I woke up from a nap. You were already telling me, like, bro, what's going, like, have you been seeing what's going on in the Twitter streets? And from what I heard, it was like people were basically saying that he ended up missing walkthrough that morning for it. We had heard about some things previously, but basically we got the gist that he wasn't going to be active for the game, right? And that there was going to be some kind of punishment dealt out. That ended up coming to fruition Sunday. We saw him inactive. We also saw him show up in pajamas, which was crazy. But it kind of put the Bengals in the spot to where it's like, man, like you had Joe Burrow vouch for you. You had Jamar Chase vouch for you. This was a situation where you were going to be one of the main targets in the offense. And for the decision-making to go into this, he kind of botched the situation. Now, Zach Taylor, after the game, said that they're going to help him, said that they're going to try to put resources around him, but said that this was a part of that process of helping him improve as a pro. I'm going to say this, and a lot of people gave me flack for it. They were like, oh, you're just making excuses. If you have listened to me on this show from day one, the first thing that I have always acknowledged is that Jermaine Burton had off-the-field issues. I always kind of embrace that. And with that comes certain exceptions that you have to handle with other players and other people when it comes to that, right? So with us taking Jermaine Burton, I knew that the Bengals had to have, and I believe that they felt like they had a structure in place to where they had enough leaders in the locker room, enough voices to be able to handle a Jermaine Burton. To me, the issue was a lot of those voices are now gone. You don't have a DJ Reader. You don't have a Tyler Boyd, who was the OG in the wide receiver room. You don't have a lot of those voices that were the leaders. So as a result, Jermaine Burton essentially has to grow up on his own. Now, I'm not making an excuse for a kid that is 24, even though I feel like 24 is still young personally. I'm not making excuses for him. Obviously, you're in the NFL, you have to handle things a certain way. But at the same time, I've also seen players with similar backgrounds have certain things in place for them. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, are you expecting the Bengals to have 3 guys run security like they did for Dez Bryant?" No, I'm not expecting that. But I am expecting something like similar to what the Cowboys did with Dez Bryant outside of the security guards. They had Dez Bryant check in with somebody on a curfew, and if he wasn't going to be there, he had to explain what it was. I don't see why the Bengals couldn't do that. They had a situation where he couldn't go to strip clubs or certain places and venues without approval by the coaches or by the team themselves. Like there's certain things that they put in place to try to help them because they knew who he was. And from what I've heard talking to people, he had certain things set up in Bama to try to help keep him in line. And so for him to get to the league and for them to know these things, because they've done their research on Jermaine Burton, like they know more about Jermaine Burton than either anybody that could really know anything would know. For them to not have anything in place for him, like as far as like a mentor or something to help protect him, I'm not surprised that it's kind of going this way because somebody's not just going to get to the NFL, get a whole bunch of money, and really just become a completely different person. Does that excuse him from the behavior? No. But to me, like that's the risk, and that's what you knew was going to come with a player that's this talented, but isn't the most mature. And I think that the Bengals just should have been more ready for that. Now, how they go about that going forward, we'll see. But clearly, like this kid needs a mentor. Clearly, this person needs an OG in the locker room that needs to be able to, be real with them. And it seems like some people tried to do that, whether it was Joe Burrow, whether it was Jamar Chase, and maybe he's burnt out that goodwill with them because it does seem like some players in the locker room are frustrated. But at the end of the day, this is what you were kind of taking on when you ended up bringing in Jermaine Burton. And to me, I'm not necessarily like surprised because at the end of the day, we already knew that. The whole NFL knew that. They knew that you were going to get some sort of baggage when it came to Jermaine Burton. To me, it doesn't really seem like it's he doesn't know the plays thing. To me, it just may seem like a decision-making thing and making the right choices and knowing the gravity of things and of the moment when you're in it.
Welcome everybody to the show. I want to say, how's everybody doing? We just came off the win and everything like that, so I feel really good about that. The Burton situation. I've even gone on. I had the show after with Malik Wright. That show I had a real good message, I thought, on the Burton situation. And I don't want to go down that road again, but I just feel like I don't know. I got like two people talking in my head. Like one is like old Zim and what I used to be, and then one is like the older one, which is still a wild boy for real. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of it's an overreaction. I feel like our fan base, not an overreaction to him missing, the walkthrough on Saturday, which was reported by, Paul Dana and all these other people like the big times and stuff like that. But I feel like it's an overreaction, like a story that or a player that like our fan base just like, I just don't feel like they're ready for it. I feel like even Jamar, you saw that. Remember when Jamar like didn't sign his deal and stuff like that? And we had the episode about Ferraris and Lambos and stuff like that or whatever. Like these are Lambos and Mazzies and stuff like that. And I just feel like our fan base like treats them like even I don't know if you touched that part yet about like just to taking a picture of him at a slot machine and stuff like that.
It's weird, bro. Taking pictures of players.
I'm not trying to excuse like what has happened for anybody else, but some of these other teams are dealing with like robberies and gun charges and all types of stuff. And I ain't trying to say like which one is heavier than others, but Burton missed a walkthrough on Saturday and people are treating it like he shot somebody. And to me, it's like, it's just like, that's why the Bengals and Zach Taylor and company, that's why they don't draft them type of guys. I just don't feel like our fan base is like, I don't know. I don't know if it's a Midwest thing or whatever.
But I don't. This is what I don't.
A player, bro.
This is what I don't understand about that. When did the Bengals fan base become like these uppity people? Because I've seen tweets out there like, "Oh, I expect Burton gone next week." Like, are we serious? Do we not remember Odell Thurman? Like people that had real deal like off the field. It's like it's gotten so weird, bro, that I like even my wife picked it out and she was like, I had a post that was like, if y'all wasn't here for like the Pac-Man era, like y'all couldn't put up with a Pac-Man Jones like the way that y'all are responding to this Burton stuff. So you must be new here. And it was like really people in the comments being like, yeah, well, he might have did this and got this charge, but he never missed a practice. I'm like, are we crazy? That's nasty. My wife was sitting there like, that is so crazy for somebody to say something like that. And like, I feel you, bro. Like to me now, the weirdest part about it, like you mentioned the picture thing, like the picture thing is just weird, man. Like, I mean, unless like, do you want him to be inactive for Thursday Night Football? Like now you guys are putting out players that's more than pictures of guys more than Burton.
But this is what I'm saying. I don't think that this fan base is going to accept him the same way that I know that they accepted Mixon. I know that they accepted, but they have a weird way at the end of these guys' like tenure to really show like their true colors. And I think when you get to the end of AJ Green, when you get to the end of Bates, when you got to the end of Ocho Cinco, they show you like what they, you know what I'm saying? This isn't everybody. I'm just saying the people that are speaking
out. There's a segment of the fan base.
It's just a small segment. I feel like most people embrace these players and like a player like a Mixon, they love him at the stadium. But I think some of the things that troubled him in the past, they didn't come back up. And I said, oh, so that's the reason why you're really going. That's the real reason why you don't really want him here like that. And like the truth starts to come up. And I don't know, like that's the thing. I don't know if the fan base is ever going to embrace him like that. I just don't. Because the whole sit him, whatever, like in my mind, I thought he should have got fined, sit out a quarter or something like that. Teams do that all the time. Like even like the hardest coaches, I'm not going to give you my information.
Mike Tomlin in that situation probably benches him a half.
I'm not going to give you my inside, like, sources or anything like that. But I know some coaches or I know guys that are my friends that are on staffs and stuff. That's not that crazy and uncommon. Like even the comments I'm saying, like, no tolerance if you miss it. Like, that's not that crazy. Like, guys have missed it. Generally, a guy will have an excuse. But like the no call is crazy. I thought you started off and you said you're not excusing it. I don't think there is an excuse needed for it. Wrong is wrong and right is right. But right. I feel like this crazy hammer that a small segment like to like enforce as though they're the judge of all of this is like insane to me. And that's why I don't connect on any of that stuff. I don't see that stuff the same way. I feel like it's a young kid that made mistakes. But now it's not even being petty. But once I get so much pushback on a subject or so much pushback on something, I say, cool, let's have it your way. In my mind, just like I was at the end of the mixing. Remember we went into the off season. I said, bro, I'll be happy if they just trade him, so we ain't got to talk about like I don't have
that's what they don't know. Those are conversations that me and you had that they're not privy to. So there's people on Twitter telling you like, oh, you just want them on the team, but privately that's what you were telling me the whole time.
I'm like, bro, I just wish they would just trade him so that we could just move on. And honestly, the Jermaine Burton thing, I just want to move on because I feel like if you aren't smart enough or not even smart enough, if you aren't understanding of this one situation, you'll never understand them. And
I mean, they're already making up like the kid is now under a microscope where it's unreal, bro. Like, and that to me is where it's getting weird. Like, and it's not just him. He's not the only person that people are doing this stuff to. And that's the part that's getting weird to me is we're in the middle of a playoff, like trying to make the playoffs. We cannot have anything else come up as it is right now. We had the Ravens on Thursday, and we're worried about Jermaine Burton like playing slots. We're worried about taking pictures of players out in their personal life. Like, are we actively trying to get our own players benched or taken out of a game that might be the most important game of the season? That's what I'm not understanding.
But that's what's been going on this whole time. When the Mixon thing came down to the end, they were doing the same thing, bro. They were showing his house. Remember all the Twitter people, like before they knew the story, they were like, "Oh, I mean, he shot a kid. Oh, he got to get out of here." Before he even went to a trial or anything, they were like, "Bro, he was gone." And then when the information came out, like people just never forgave him. And I'm just like, once that happens, and I see how you really feel about him, I'm just like, maybe this just isn't a fit. Like, I hate to say that, but it's just too problematic that fans. I'm not going to try to like pick a certain player, but I promise you, I've been to the casino with hella players, and people have taken pictures.
Bro, there are a lot of players that have frequented casinos in Cincinnati.
People have parties at the casino late night. I've been in pictures with them.
I mean, let's be real. One of the most infamous incidents started with a Bengals player at a casino.
But that's not where I'm going. All right, so all I'm saying is that if you're like if it was another player and they were just taking a picture at a casino, I think most of our fan base would think it was dope, and they'd be like, "Oh, he's cool. He's down to earth. He's just playing slots."
But because it's him.
But because it's him, it's like it's a thing, and they're always going to make every little thing a thing with him because the media and all the people that participated in this point to get to the point that he's at, I understand they've been doing it since the very beginning because they already came in with the preconceived notion that he was a problem. Like even like you in the opener saying like, "Hey, look, you knew the problems that he was going." People already was like, they're not looking at that from an understanding point. They're looking at that like, "Oh yeah, that's not the Cincinnati kid right there," and they're already pre-programmed to say, told you. That's why when he had a problem, everybody in the little clip came out of 10 seconds of like, yeah, like I talked to Jermaine about it, and they clipped that one part. Is so that they could be like, aha, I told you it was his problem that he wasn't playing. And then when he came back and said, "No, I think I can help the team," like, "No, I don't know what y'all talking about. Going to sleep in meetings, I don't know nothing about it." The fan base just skipped right past that. And they was just like, "Oh, no, not a rookie talking." Like, they already have a preconceived notion, and they're always going to do this to him, bro. The same way that they did this to Mixon at the end, the same way that they did this to Ocho Cinco at the end, the same way that they did this and acted weird towards Bates at the end. All of these different things, because we run content creation pages, we understand what the vibes are on all of these players or whatever, and I just know how this going to go. And that's why I feel like you saying Thursday night, I don't know, bro. Like, you think that that was my next point. You think that he's going to play Thursday night? Like I don't think that I'm going to put my professional hat on or whatever. I don't know if I could trust him to be ready for Thursday night on the strength of you missed the walkthrough and we depended on you, and coach says we had a heavy game plan towards you and you missed the whole game plan. I don't know if I could trust you in the biggest game of our season on Thursday night to implement you in a plan other than maybe like punt returns and then maybe plays, like do the 2-3 plays that they've been giving him. I think he's back to square one all over again. And then you see the Mike Hilton one. Bro, it's a volatile situation, and we're going to talk about the Joe Burrow on the sideline. I thought Joe Burrow was mad at the season, mad at they didn't pick up the blitz on that particular play. Jamar Chase's routes were lackadaisical towards the end of that game. I don't know what that was about, and I thought it all came kind of to a head where he kind of blows up a little bit on the sideline, and he sees Burton. And I know what Joe Burrow's thinking because I'm a psychopath, but I know he's thinking, bro, I put my life on the line for this stuff. I have no tolerance. And that's where the people I do believe would side with Burton you must come down with the hammer on him. I know that guy's sitting there, yeah, get him. I get you, cool. because Burrow is very perfectionist, and I do understand that in that moment he probably was like, "Nah, bro, like, what are you even doing sitting right here, bro?" I'm like, when I get into that mode and I turn up and I kirk out and I go crazy, I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Even you should be standing up next to the wide receivers, asking them questions. What are you doing sitting there like acting like you just played? Like, what are you? Get your ass up. Go over there, get it. You should have a notepad right now, for real. Like, that's what Joe Burrow probably was thinking right there. And to me, to get back in his graces, that ain't gonna happen in 3-4 days. You thinking you about to play Thursday night?
I'm gonna be real. If he shows up for walkthrough and he goes to the practices, he's shown that he's learned from this. Hell yeah, because I mean, bro, this is just my opinion, and I feel like some people will feel the same. This is the season. This Ravens game, this is the season right here, bro. Like, if he's not ready to go, like, I'm gonna be real. If you miss this walkthrough, you got to be inactive for the rest of the season. If you're not ready for this Baltimore game, you just seen how Joe feels about him, like you said. If you're not ready for this, you're done. You're done. You're done. You're done, bro. You're done. You're done in Cincinnati. Like, for real. They're gonna come up with a fake injury to put you on IR. Your season is done if you're not like. If you're not there,
and if you feel that way, and you don't trust them, right? Which I don't know if I really trust them right now, because even after all of that, this is the thing: it is not illegal to be at the casino. But I will put my professional organizational hat on. What the hell are you doing at a casino after all that just transpired? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't understand it. The pajamas, bro. Showing up in pajamas when it was like allegedly like you overslept and didn't show up. Then you look like you just came to the locker room on game day in pajamas. Then you dancing on the screen and Burrow's looking at you like, what the f is going on? Like, it's just not a good look, bro. It's like, read the room, understand the situation. And realize, like, bro, this team needs you. Like, at the end of the day, that's what it is.
I think a team, like, for y'all don't know that don't know me, I live in Washington, D.C. After their game, they turned up, party, went crazy, videos of them at the club, no problem. The fan base wouldn't mind a Burton out here. I'm telling y'all that right now. They don't care. They want to win some football games. So all these things that we're talking about, I honestly feel like if Burton, if they don't show him what they want, Burton ain't the first one in, last one out. I just don't think it's a fit. I really don't. Like, I've learned that I'm at that age when you can't really force things on people or whatever. Like, I know that Burton's a talented wide receiver. I think that he's going to be really dope. I think he's going to be amazing. I just don't think that the personality, I don't think the fan base, I don't think the structure of what's currently going on, I don't think it matches up with Burton over just the 48, 72 hours or whatever that we've just had. I just don't, it just does not feel like a good fit. That's my one takeaway from it. So on one hand, I have a whole speech on Malik's show where I'm talking about how I was a troubled high schooler and all these different things, and you got to support them. I just don't think the Bengals and the fan base are interested in supporting them. I don't think nobody cares that much to say, let's do this. I think most people are going to say, we got Joe Burrow, either it's our way or the highway. And that
most people want to be right about Burton and get him in trouble and have him inactive on Thursday. And to me, is that's what's best for your team?
I think that's what's best for your team. Is going to say more of, I side with Joe Burrow. I don't care about what this dude. He needs to be a professional. And see, and to me, I feel like the fan base and the city and all these different things, I just don't think it matches up. I think that there are other cities that would embrace Burton and they will have the infrastructure that you're talking about already set.
Not Miami. I
think that there are some cities, though. I think there are some cities, though, or some teams or organizations, or all the things that you're saying that they should put around him. I think that there are at least 8 teams right now that would say, "Let me get Burton," and that's just, it could go well. I feel like Zach and all them giving and everything like that. But you know what I mean? Like you want to get to the next. I feel like we've exhausted the
we've exhausted it.
We had to talk about it because that was a big storyline coming into the game.
It was. We couldn't not touch on it because I mean we don't shy away from topics or stuff like that. Before we move on though, speaking of gambling, BetUS sponsors the show. This show is powered by BetUS. They're launching a new promotion exclusively for you guys that follow us. Forget the old 125% match. They're going to give you guys 150% on your first deposit. You can still get 125% on the next two after that. That promo code is YouTube150. Make sure you visit BetUS. Get any kind of bet that you got going on. It doesn't even have to be football either. NBA has just started back up. So if you want to make some of those NBA bets, player props, and all of that, make sure that you check them out. NBA is also on nightly. So if you're sitting here on Monday, you can go Monday Night Football. You can parlay that with some NBA picks as well. I love NBA player props myself. Make sure you check them out at BetUS and make sure you use that promo code YouTube150. That helps support the show. So appreciate you guys for doing all of that. But yeah, we're going to wrap this Jermaine Burton topic up and let's get into the actual Raiders game, which is why people are here. Special teams, bro, kicking it off.
Here for Burton, bro.
You said they were here for Burton?
Yeah.
Nah, it's all good. Special teams, bro. How are you feeling about special teams the way of winning this Raiders game?
McPherson made that kick by the hairs on his chinny chin chin. Rehkow had a good, coffin corner kick that almost got put into one. I thought the returns of Trent Irwin was a flaw. Like I thought he looked slow, indecisive, and I think that's a problem moving forward. And I think you need a Jermaine Burton return.
Nah, I mean, so what I say about special teams is I do agree. The return game, I didn't even notice it. Like you said, it was very lackluster, especially with Charlie Jones being out. I think from a field goal perspective, Money Mac almost gave me a heart attack on that 40-yard field goal. Like, I'm like, bro, I'm glad he made it because that would have literally made so many waves. But, glad that Money Mac was able to make that. There was a punt in the game by Rehkow that almost was a coffin corner. That was probably one of the almost highlights of this game, but that just shows what kind of a weapon Rehkow is. For him to almost be able to pin that team within the 1-yard line was crazy. But other than that, man, special teams, I would probably give it a solid C+, just because Evan McPherson almost missed the field goal, and then there was an almost, amazing punt, but it was an almost amazing punt. And then, like you said, we got nothing from the return game. So, and when you score 41 points in this game, special teams is never really going to be a factor when it comes to it. When you had Joe doing his thing, so special teams was all right.
Can I say moving forward? I'm gonna go back to the show that we had before where you were saying go for it on 4th and 7 and stuff. I'm in that mode Thursday night.
Yes,
they're at the part now where you can't really trust Evan. His name is not Money anymore. It's just Evan McPherson. They can't really trust Evan anymore because I feel like even the kick that he made was just like, I don't even know. That was a 40-yard kick, and it was super close. I think when teams see a kick a field goal, you're bailing them out. They need to go for it a lot. And once they get to the 50, we got to go for it because I think the Ravens offense is crazy, but it'd be crazier if you didn't move forward and try to take away time off of their clock. And you have to extend drives. And if you're in a 4th and 5th, 4th and 6 or less, you got to go for it moving forward. That's how I feel about the special teams field goal unit.
Nah, for sure. I got some super chats to read before we get into the next phase of the game. Shout out to our boy Neff, representing Houday. Let's get some deals done tonight and tomorrow. Come on, Mikey. Yeah, we need Mike and Katie to get on there. Even Mr. Blackburn, whatever he got to do, whoever is listening right now from the Bengals front office, We need y'all to get some deals done tonight.
Hey, everybody go follow Neff. He's an insider, so he knows that the Bengals, he knows the moves that they're about to go make.
He does. My man Chris here, since he is very black and white, if you know what I mean. Also, Khalid a great $5 super chat. Is the reaction to Burton the same if he was in a bowling alley or Top Golf? I feel a lot of people just think lowly on the casino. Yeah, man. Like I said, it's been a lot of Bengals players in casinos. I mean, Russell Wilson was in a casino after after he got benched one game, and that became a big topic on social media. I mean, at the end of the day, bro, like I know they get paid a lot of money for a sport, but they're literally human beings just like you and I. Like, have you ever been in a casino before? I'm pretty sure you have been. Shout out to our boy Sean. My boys was good. Just wanted to say, as amazing as our punter is, I don't think he should be the holder for the field goals.
Yeah, I think the mechanics ever since Huber and Clark Harris have left, I think they've affected Money or Evan McPherson. I don't think he's ever been the same since then, honestly.
Nah, for sure. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the defense. We got to say the best for last, which is Joey B in that offense. Defense, how are you feeling like they played in this game?
I think the defense was amazing too, man. I feel like they gave up, on average, all the bad teams that they've played this year, they've given up an average of 14 points. So when they play bum teams like the Raiders or whatever, they do what they're supposed to do. I'm not mad at them for that. You think about it, the Raiders only scored 17 points. The last 7 that they got in garbage time, which I was really mad because I really wanted to walk away with bragging rights to be like, bro, we beat them by like 30, you know what I mean? But you got to count it. But giving up 17, late 7, it's not good enough to beat the best teams in the NFL, but I thought that they made a bad run game look bad. I thought that it looks a lot different when Mike Hilton's out there. Remember, Mike Hilton and Sheldon Rankins didn't play the first time that we played Derrick Henry. Mike Hilton on those run blitzes was amazing. I put a clip out on my Twitter too, just of like some of the plays that Mike made, whether it's in the screen game or whether it's just in run support. I think he's phenomenal, and I think that they should extend him. I think he's a crazy athlete. I mean, a crazy player that has athletic traits that people just don't recognize. Also, Akeem Davis-Gaither, he showed up on a couple plays too when I was rewatching the game as well. Jordan Battle going one-on-one with Brock Bowers for most of the day. I thought he was really good at that. That's another player that wasn't really a part of the rotation when we played the Ravens as well too. So you saw 3 key pieces now starting to get way more burn. He had 51% of the snaps versus the 50% for Von Bell. So the transition is happening. Chris Jenkins gets a sack in this game. BJ Hill does go out with a rib injury in the game. Zach Taylor said that it looked better than what he thought. He did leave the building yesterday in a sling. Somebody else wrote a comment about Eric All. If y'all don't know, he tore his ACL and he's out for the season. So prayers out to Eric All. But overall, the whole entire team, and we'll talk about that, I guess, in a second. But overall, the whole defense, I thought, did what they had to do to a bad Raiders team. They made them look bad. And when they took advantage of the offensive linemen that were out, Trey Hendrickson, Defensive Player of the Year. Now your NFL leader in sacks with 11 sacks. He also is second in the whole National Football League in pressures, I think, with 46. He had 7 quarterback hits, and some sites have him rated 8 quarterback hits. Do you know how dominant of a performance that is? That is the reason why Neff gave a super chat and talked about, are we getting some deals done? Because if you get somebody on the opposite end of Trey Hendrickson, look out.
Yeah, man. Just really want to talk to these Steelers and Browns fans that have this love fest going on where they act like it's only Myles Garrett and it's only TJ Watt, even though when we going back to 2020, Trey Hendrickson has more sacks than both of them. We're not going to do this whole thing anymore where we act like they're in a whole completely different threshold than Trey Hendrickson, bro. At the end of the day, 11 sacks is 11 sacks. At the end of the day, Trey Hendrickson has been playing on an elite level. At the end of the day, he just had a 4-sack game. At the end of the day, he just had 17 sacks last year. At the end of the day, he has currently more sacks than Myles Garrett. At the end of the day, he currently has more sacks than TJ Watt. So when you guys bring up those two, like they're the only pass rushers and edge rushers in the North, I'm not hearing that no more. The numbers don't lie. Men lie, women lie. Like Myles Garrett is on a team that has how many wins? 2 wins. And we talking about, and he don't even have the sack numbers, and we talking about he's on a different level than Trey Hendrickson. I don't want to hear it, bro. Trey Hendrickson doesn't play with a Cam Hayward. Trey Hendrickson doesn't play with a Zadarius Smith. He doesn't play with Greg Newsome and Denzel Ward and all of these dogs out there that can hold up in coverage. He plays by himself. He literally is the Bengals pass rush, and he literally is one of the best pass rushers in the league. I don't want to hear about him not being in the same tier as them. I don't want to hear that no more because it don't make sense. So all I'm going to say right now is give Trey Hendrickson the credit he deserves, because I'm tired of hearing all of these, oh yeah, we got Myles and we got TJ and they're in their own tier, and then you got Trey. Like, nah, bro. Trey is in the same tier. I'm not hearing it no more. We're seeing it again. He's had double-digit sacks. I don't know how many years. Like, when you compare all three of them for the last 3 or 4 years, he's leading the pack. Like, I don't know what else. Like, I don't know what else we got to do here. I don't know what else there is to say. But, like, bro, you ain't got to admit that he's better than them, but you do have to say that he's in the same class as them. And I feel like I'm tired of hearing that when I go on these AFC North shows and I hear these people talk about he's not better than Nick Bosa. Like, are we serious? Are you serious? Like, where does Nick Bosa have the numbers that Trey Hendrickson has? Like, we just seen him in a game against Max Crosby, who's also considered close to that tier, outperform Max Crosby. How many sacks did Max Crosby have yesterday? And I get it. They don't have to go up against the same people and this and that. But at the end of the day, 4 sacks is 4 sacks. That's not something that's easy to do in one ball game. And when you're leading and you have a lead by multiple sacks, like, I don't know, like, that's elite to me. That's top 3. So, like, it is what it is. I just want to start there because what Trey Hendrickson has done this season, what he's done these past couple of seasons with having literally the Bengals pass rush on his back, when you have guys that are across from him that nobody even really knows unless you're from Cincinnati, I don't want to hear it, bro. I really don't want to hear it. But outside of that, I don't want to make it just about him. As Zim said, the Bengals defensive line played extremely well in this. McKinley Jackson was a guy that I really feel like stepped up. A lot of those guys were able to help Trey Hendrickson end up with some sacks in this one. They were able to stop the run game. Mike Hilton, bro. Mike Hilton is the best corner. Somebody said that earlier in the chat. Mike Hilton is the best corner in this Bengals locker room. He's one of the best players of the defense. He deserves to be here. Players feed off of his energy. He's one of the biggest captains on the team. He leads the charge. He gets them boys right. I think he did well. Brock Bowers did nothing outside of a garbage time touchdown. Like, I don't want to hear this whole like fake victory lap when we should have gotten Brock Bowers. After Brock Bowers didn't literally do until a garbage time touchdown. And when you talk about the garbage time touchdown, you take that out, you take the pick 6 out, which really, honestly, in my opinion, shouldn't hold up against them. You're talking about a defense that literally didn't give up much at all in this game. And I get it. They're only going against Gardner Minshew and they're going against Des Ridder. So you should be, playing like an elite defense, but they did not have the lapses that we've seen. This is them coming off of a game where they only got 3 pressures. And in this game, Trey Hendrickson ended up with 4 sacks. And then you also had a sack by Chris Jenkins as well and some of these other guys. So they were able to completely transform the defense. They were able to give us some of those vintage 2021 looks where you see Logan Wilson recover a fumble. Like, the defense came to play. And honestly, I talked about last week when we were in the Eagles game, is that going to be the first complete game where the defense and the offense come together and finally end up having a complete game? And it was really this one. So shout out to the defense, man. They did their thing. I don't want to hear about Trey Hendrickson not being a part of these conversations with Myles Garrett and TJ Watt ever again. Like, don't disrespect that man like that ever again in your life. So I just wanted to say that about the defense. Was there anything that you wanted to say, bro, before we move on to the offense?
No, we can get straight to the offense.
Let's get it. Offense, let's get it.
On the defensive side of the ball, though, can we get Calais Campbell or Ojulari? Calais Campbell, I just need to – we'll go into the free agent stuff.
Yeah, we can get – no. Let's talk about that real quick, just on the defensive side of things. Ojulari, you know who I want. You know who I just made him my Abby right now. That might not be realistic because from what we've heard, talking to some people, we don't know anybody, but we talking to people that know, and they're saying like, nah, the Raiders aren't making him available. I was told if they did, Las Vegas would riot. Like that's not happening. But Azeez Ojulari, talk about some other people. Marshawn Lattimore, like who are guys that you want? I know you've talked about Jack Jones. Who are some guys that you want to add to this defense?
After the Burton stuff, Jack Jones is off the table for me, given his background and what happened with him. If they think Burton is crazy, Jack Jones, just Google that. You know what I'm saying? So if they thinking a dude at a casino is crazy, then that's not gonna work. I think Calais Campbell would help out with a whole lot of stuff. I wanted him in the offseason coming into this thing, into the season, but Calais Campbell solves a lot. He gives you a little bit of pass rush. He also is an amazing run stopper. He's playing incredible this year. It's a 1-year rental. You put him out there. You got him talking directly to McKinley Jackson and guys like that. Your rotation is deep. Nobody's running on you after that. This whole DJ Reader stuff, we could end that. You probably send like a 6th-round pick for him, or you do like a 6th-round swap for him. I'd do it. It's an 8-game rental. But if you want to salvage the season, I feel like they've made a lot of mistakes. This is how you do it. The other one, it could be Ojulari or Chase Young, anybody in that. Chase Young, I looked at his production. He's played 412 snaps. Out of the 412 snaps, he only has 8 quarterback knockdowns, which isn't really that great. But his pressure rate at 14.2 is a lot higher than a lot of these other guys like Ojulari and then Artie Key and guys like that. And the reason why I think that that's important is because you got to think on his defensive line, he doesn't have a Trey Hendrickson. So to me, that's a sustainable product. If you could put them out there, and I'm talking Chase Young, you're probably talking like a 5th-round, 6th-round pick swap as well too. You do those 2 moves right there. Offensively, I don't give a damn about anybody, honestly, to tell you the truth. I think the defense, I would finally feel like we're good. We're good. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Yeah, I think Max Crosby, obviously, I would want him. Azeez Ojulari, I think is more doable. It's not as expensive when you talk about from a short term. I think it is actually more expensive from a long term because Azeez Ojulari, you essentially would be renting him for the remainder of this year. You only have to pay $700,000 of that contract. However, him already having 6.5 sacks, if he finishes with double-digit sacks here, you're talking about a guy that you're going to have to pay a lot of money to after this season. But for right now, the Bengals are focused on right now. I also think Chase Young, when it comes to that, Chase Young will be an upgrade compared to what they have right now. Chase Young on the other side of Trey Hendrickson, sign me up for that. I don't think adding him to the rotation, I don't think anything could be a negative. I have seen people out there not liking Chase Young. You got to remember Chase Young at one point was the defensive rookie of the year. He's had some health issues. To me, that's the only thing that's really hurt him is the health issues. If you can get Chase Young as a part of this rotation, Azeez Ojulari is who I would probably prefer. But, of course, at first, I got to go with Max Crosby. I mean, over anybody would be him. But I would say Max Crosby, Azeez, then Chase Young. Marshawn Lattimore, if you can get him. DJ Reed, if he's available. Those are guys that I would look at. Marshawn Lattimore is going to cost you a lot of money, though, when it comes to that. So you're kind of venturing into Max Crosby territory in terms of the cost there. So would the Bengals be willing to do that? I'm not sure, but I do think they need to add some depth to the cornerback room. A lot of people are talking about Bengals being in play for a running back. To me, bro, Travis Etienne, I'm taking him. Travis Etienne with Chase Brown is nasty. That's better than Zach Moss and Chase Brown to me. That's an upgrade. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say that's the upgrade. I don't have to worry about the draft next year. I got 2 young stud running backs that both can catch the ball out of the backfield. Like, because a lot of people are talking about we need a power running back. I don't feel like a power running back really fits this offense. I feel like you need two guys that are really similar that can both. That's about to sound super pause worthy, but both that can split carries. Let's put it that way. And be effective. And I feel like, yes, Travis Etienne might be somewhat injury prone, but I think when I've seen him when he's played, like I think back to when the Jags played that Kansas City Chiefs game, Travis Etienne was one of the best players on the field in that game. If you can have a weapon like him and Chase Brown to pair with each other, I think that the run game would be explosive. I think that it's an upgrade over what the Bengals had. And if they could do that, that's it. But I will say, if you're telling me that the only trade is a running back, that's a horrible deal for the Bengals. I think if you are making a move for a player, that player needs to be on defense if it is only one trade that you're making.
Etienne, my perception of him too, I feel like, like how I like Kamara, I feel like you have an affection for Florida running backs or like Florida.
He went to Clemson. He went to Clemson.
But the Etienne, like the him bandage in Florida with the Jags and all, I don't know. But this is the thing. I think that Etienne is a dog. But when I went and really looked at it, he's not even the number one running back anymore. Like Bigsby is now like the guy, and the injury concerns. Another one. Mm-hmm. With this fan base and injuries, there is a no tolerance policy. Like this thing is starting to get in the Joe Burrow era. There is like a criteria that is very specific. And when I think about like the running back position as a whole and the upcoming running back class is about to come up, I'm not trying to give up nothing for a running back because the running backs that are coming up, I don't have to do anything. I will go out there with Hilton. This is the crazy thing. You saying splitting carries is wild too because everybody realizes that you could have just had Joe Mixon and Chase Brown together. I don't know why everybody always be trying to make it seem like it's Chase Brown versus Mixon. You could have had both of them, and we wouldn't even be having none of these conversations. The pass pro stuff, there's a guy that's sitting at home, Jared McKinnon. I've been posting a bunch of his stuff all day. It is the league minimum. He has been very instrumental in Kansas City runs. He is older at 32, but you just need him as a pass pro specialist. The kid Milton would be the guy that gives you like the 2-3 carries that P. Ryan would have gave you or Zach Moss would have gave you, and you don't got to give up nothing for a position group that I'm not trying to give up no draft capital for because of the upcoming draft. I just don't see the value in getting, like, I think Etienne's going to want more money. We're going to have a money conversation.
So with Etienne, they exercise his fifth-year option, so you get him for this year and next year. If you telling me I can get him for, like, a 6th-round pick, and I don't have to take a chance on – I don't have to take a chance on a Rex Burkhead type dude next year. Like, give me Travis Etienne. He's already rushed for 1,000 yards twice. Like, people could talk about the injuries. Last year he rushed for 1,000. The year before that he rushed for 1,000. So like, and I don't even need him to rush for 1,000. I just need him to split carries with Chase Brown. So to me, he's a proven commodity. And if I don't have to pay that much for him, and I have a running back for the next 2 years with Chase Brown, I feel like I'm good.
Yeah. I mean, if he was on a team, I think it would make us better. I don't know if maybe it's the fan base or what. If he were to get injured or dinged up or whatever, I'm just not trying to hear it. The thing that I will say in the draft that we just had or whatever, in the draft before that, there's so many guys like Ray Davis who just had a good game for the Bills, like late round guy that was a pass pro guy. Roshan Johnson is another name, 4th, 5th round pick. You got Braylon Allen, 4th, 5th round pick. I feel like we identify every draft all season like there are these good running backs that the Bengals could have got, and they just don't get them. And with the class coming up, I would welcome Etienne, but I just think for a team that is reluctant to give up any draft capital to do it for a running back,
they gotta
just give it up for like the position group that you're not hitting on. You're not hitting on trenches.
But they didn't hit on running back. They signed up for Zach Moss. They got rid of Joe Mixon, and now they got egg on their face. Now you
They
got
kind of hit
Williams.
on Chase Brown a little bit if you think about it. But
they hit on Chase Brown, but like they didn't hit on the replacement for Joe Mixon, right? Like, and so now you get a situation where Zach Moss is supposed to be your pass blocker. I don't know if you've seen the all-22 on Travion. It does not look good. Like Burrow that was another reason Burrow was pissed.
Jerick McKinnon is probably one of the best pass pros in the National Football League, and he's sitting right at home. And
I'm not mad at Jerick McKinnon. I'm just saying, like, from what they did from
you could get Jerick McKinnon for free, and that's just my plan. That's all I was saying.
Yeah. Nah, I don't blame you. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be mad either way, bro. If they got Etienne, though, I would probably go crazy. I ain't even gonna hold you. But let's get to the offensive side of things. Joe Burrow obviously was on a heater, 5 touchdowns, went crazy. This was a offense that had to pivot away from having Burton get 8 to 10 targets, was on fire. I mean, Joe was hitting everybody up. Mike Gesicki had a huge game in this one. It's been kind of clear that he should be more of a part of this offense. Jamar Chase didn't have the best day, but he still was incorporated within the offense. Yoshi ends up getting a touchdown. Drew Sample, it was like Shiesty was out there like Oprah. You get a touchdown. You get a touchdown. Chase Brown gets a touchdown. The biggest or the most impressive thing to me was Chase Brown as the lead back. I've always said that Chase Brown was RB1. I'm going to continue to take my victory lap on this one. I didn't think it was close with him and Zach Moss. And I think that we're seeing now, unfortunately, to Zach Moss, I'm not praying for injury, so prayers up to him. Hope that his neck is good. Pause. But Chase Brown did his thing, bro, in this game. I mean, like, from a passing game perspective, from a run game perspective, he allowed this offense to really open up and be as explosive as it was, just because we haven't really been able to establish the run. He was able to do that, and hopefully he can continue to do that moving forward. I don't really care what his pass blocking looked like. That's just me. Like, I didn't really study it in depth. All I really studied from that game were the explosive runs that he made, the explosive plays that he was able to convert, and it's clear that Chase Brown, in my opinion, is obviously RB1. But this Bengals offense put up 40 points. I agree with Joe Burrow. They probably could have put up 50. To me, the offense was on fire, bro.
Yeah, I agree. I think the offense was in a good zone. I thought that there were some plays, like, if you go back and go look at it, it's crazy. Joe Burrow could have had 7 touchdowns. He had the Jamar Chase contested catch at the end on the fade route that they took, like the dude knocked that out the way. They had the other one where Tanner Hudson falls right at the goal line. Like, hit me if you heard that one before. You had those, but I just feel like the offense is really, really good. I don't know if the offense is good enough to consistently do it every single week, and that's the bigger issue, and I think that's more like what Joe Burrow was probably angry about. And I think that Chase Brown is a great running back. I don't know if Chase Brown can run for 32 touches, he had 27 carries, 32 touches. I don't think he could do that every single week. And that's where I'm like, they need to get Milton involved to give him like a couple carries coming up. They need to go get a pass pro guy or whatever. Like, I feel like they could just scoop up like a guy like a Jerick McKinnon just to help out in that role. Jerick McKinnon on third down, like, he can move the chains. He could catch really good too. He's one of the best pass pros like out there. I just think you got to aid Chase Brown a little bit because he's not a bell cow running back, and I don't want to see them wear him down. You saw him kind of come out of the game 2 different times in the game where he had like a little bruise or something like that, and he's like, let me just get right. And so just being super cautious with him because I think him long-term is going to be crazy. I think he's going to be really good for this organization. Aside from that, Mike Gesicki, I just thought that him coming into that role that T. Higgins normally plays, he was essentially a wide receiver playing in the X route tree throughout the whole entire game. He goes crazy. He has 100 yards, 2 tutties. I think it's probably like the second, third best game that he's ever had in his career. We told people before the season that Joe Burrow is going to unlock Gesicki, and Gesicki's probably going to be one of the best tight ends that Burrow's ever had. So given all the Burton situation and all that stuff like that, Gesicki stepped up major. I think Gesicki is one of those guys that they need to go and extend in this offseason. Given the injury to Eric All, you need a guy that's going to be there, that's going to be a foundational piece moving forward that doesn't just fit in this mold of we're 24 years old, 25 years old. Yes, he's a little bit older, but I feel like his toughness, the catch he had on that third down with the strong hands right in front of the chains, all those different things are different things that I think got them into rough spots throughout the season when they're looking for those pieces like that. And you need a Gesicki on this team. Overall, I thought it was Burrow, just cooking up, improvising more than he has, I think, lately. And he's in a zone. He's processing what he sees really good. And the only sack was just a failed blitz pickup. And I think Amarius Mims, blanking Max Crosby, the rest of the offensive line without Orlando Brown operating like that level, they're operating at a high tier level. They're playing like a top 10 offensive line. The interior offensive line still has some question marks for me. Bolston and Kappa aren't really playing that great, but they're playing good enough. I don't know if it's good enough to go where we want them to go. But overall, the team, man, I thought that they did what they're supposed to do. Beat up on a bad team and make ourselves look like the more dominant team. And I thought they did enough in those spots to convince me of they can take care of that for the rest of the season in those type of games. It's the games like Thursday night that we got to see.
Nah, for sure, man. And as you guys know, we will be talking about the Bengals upcoming game this Thursday. Once again, this show is sponsored by BETUS. Shout out to them for sponsoring the show. As you guys know, we have the Wincy Play of the Week, so stay tuned for that on Wednesday. We'll definitely make sure that we have that. But we do have to pay some quick bills with some of our partners here, so we're going to toss it over to Midwest Best Barbecue.
G-Funk wings and them CTVs. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. The AC to the Zim, M into the B's. Uno wings, G-Funk wings and them CTVs. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. Say what up to Jordan Battle. We be going to battle. Intercepting balls like CTV did on Seattle. Putting 6 up on AZ. Juice gang amazing. Make sure you come get these wings, cause then we stay blazing. And T game be smooth as ice. Jamal making DBs fold. TV got big levels, and now you already know. It's so pretty for Uno wings. Cam got the new wings. We call them CTBs. Only at MBs. H to the Zim, M into the B's.
All right, shout out to Midwest Best Barbecue 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. Make sure you stop in and let them know Ace and Zim sent you. Zim, was there anything that you wanted to talk about before we get up out of here?
No, I think we covered a lot of it. I feel like we hit on, a lot of the different topics. I think the one now that we're coming up on election day, we're coming up on the whole the trade deadline. Deadline's coming up tomorrow, so that's the topic now, and getting in and trying to do what we can do to get this team ready for Thursday, man. I really think them adding a trench guy up front on the defensive line, I think that will go a long way. The cornerback position, that too. But I mean, I'm not trying to be greedy, but I do think that they're at a spot where they do need to make a move. I think they're going to be very particular because they're probably going to want a move that they can maximize long term too. So that's where the Ojulari comment, that comes into play. Whereas I want a Calais Campbell. I just don't. They got so much cap space. I just don't get it. They got all this cap space just for what? That's why I'm just go do it. Just go get Calais Campbell. Go get it. Go put Ojulari out there. Go get Arden Key. Go get Chase Young. Go get one of them. You got all this cap space. And then these picks, you just drafted 11 and you kept 11. So you can't do that next year. You can't do that with 7 or 8. You can't keep all them. So do a swap if you still want to keep a pick. I just don't get it. I don't get it. So maybe, we're recording this Monday, November 4th, 9 p.m. So maybe by the time you all hear this on the pod or on YouTube, you've now seen that the Bengals have executed the trade.
Duke, we waiting.